Hey guys, welcome back to Before the Scene. I'm Graham Pritchard and I'm joined by Nero Manalo. Today we're recording this virtually due to COVID-19. Anyways, today we're going to be reading the script Queen and Slim. Nero, how are you doing today?
Hey, I'm doing just fine. I think this setup is pretty cool. Just mic'd up to the computer and doing this whole thing virtually. I
Yeah,
think
it's
this is pretty cool.
pretty fancy. It only took us about, 30 minutes or something to get it set up.
Like over an hour
Yeah,
to get this thing set up.
it seemed like forever.
And you know what? We're doing this through freeconferencecall.com. Their app is providing this service to us, and it's pretty sweet. I mean, we're not sponsored or anything, but I figured that
Wink, wink.
I'd mention it since it's pretty cool in that we're doing this so easily.
Right, yeah. It's a great platform.
Cool. Hey, speaking of that, like in case someone who's like interested in doing something like this, do you want to say what sort of like program you're using on your end? I don't know if
Oh, yeah, for sure.
if you're allowed to say, but
Yeah,
if none of this is allowed, we can cut this out.
I suspect it is. I mean, we're kind of promoting different programs, like get them downloads and whatnot. Anyways,
Yeah.
I'm using OBS to record. Although I'm recording my screen right now, you probably won't see it. I'm recording my screen and both of our audio, the desktop audio, so we can hear Nero's voice, and then my mic audio so that you guys can hear my voice. It's a free platform. It's mostly used for streaming and whatnot, but it works perfectly for this.
All right, sweet. So I guess let's get to it then.
For sure. So today, we're going to be reading Queen and Slim. If you want to find the script, where would we find that at, Nero?
Oh, okay. So there is on No Film School. If you look up download 2020 Oscar screenplays, it's going to be on this page. It's just a bunch of scripts for the 2020 Oscar contending screenplays for the Oscars. So if you just look that up at nofilmschool.com, it's available right there. And with that being said, did you watch Queen and Slim, Graham? I haven't. Just
Yes,
putting that out there.
I did watch Queen and Slim. I was super, super excited for it, and that might have been the part where it made me more let down than I should have been. I'd love to rewatch it a second time and just have not as high expectations, and I already know what's coming, so I might not be so critical when watching it. To me, and I think I chose a good scene that was very emotional and wasn't as cheesy as other ones, so I think most of the audience that hasn't seen it, and for you, I think it's going to be a good scene, and might make people interested in watching it. So if you want to follow along, we are at page 96 and scene 82 that starts interior garage, same time, day 6.
Cool. Hey, real quick, I was also like looking forward to watching Queen and Slim. It looked really cool, like via the trailer. So um, it's kind of disappointing to hear you say like that you were let down. But we'll take take a shot at this the script, I guess.
Yeah, for sure. And I can go a little bit more in depth after reading the script. There might be
Okay.
something in here that triggers my memory on this, but we'll find out.
All right. Sounds good. So narration wise, I can narrate, and which character would you want to play?
It doesn't matter. I mean, I can do Slim.
Okay, I guess I'll be Queen. All
I mean, if you'd
right.
rather be Slim, you're
No,
more than welcome
that's
to.
all good. I am the narrator, and I am Queen. And is there any other characters on this?
No, it's just gonna be Queen and Slim. There will be an officer, but I don't think he says anything.
All right. Okay, so this is Queen and Slim, starting on page 96 at the bottom, scene 82. Interior garage, same time, day 6. Queen rubs her shoulder, still in pain, while Slim searches for a key to the station wagon parked in the garage.
Help me find a screwdriver.
They both start searching. You know how to jumpstart a car?
I used to. My older brother taught me one summer.
I didn't know you had a brother.
Yep.
They lock eyes for a second, realizing there's so much about each other they may never know. Then Queen finds an old toolbox. Slim digs through it.
The only car we ever jump started was my dad's. He used to take his keys with him everywhere he went. He knew better than leave that Acura around us.
I see why. Slim finally finds what he's looking for and hops in the driver's seat. Queen gets in the passenger. This is a far cry from Uncle Earl's fly caddy, but they'll take what they can. But they'll take what they can get. Slim tries to convince the ignition the screwdriver is a key, but it doesn't work. Okay, see, that's a weird sentence.
Yeah, it is a really weird sentence.
Okay.
Damn it.
He takes it out and tries again. Nothing. Cut to exterior side of the house, same day. Cut to exterior side of the house, same time, day 6. Police officer 1 walks around, looking to see if anyone's there. He sees the garage, but doesn't hear anything. He cocks his gun and walks over to the garage. Cut to interior garage, same time, day 6. Queen digs through the toolbox again and finds a smaller screwdriver and gives him that. Slim puts that into the ignition and it works. The engine is louder than they thought it would be.
Now how are we supposed to get out of here?
Before she can answer, police officer 1 lifts up the garage door. They turn to look at him. They're caught. The police officer looks around and realizes his colleagues are out front chatting with each other. He looks back at Queen and Slim and sees 2 faces that remind him of his own. He remembers why he became a cop, to help people, and at that moment, no one needs his help more than the 2 people in front of him. They have a staring contest for about 3 seconds. Then he takes a few steps back and gives them room to back up. Slim puts the car in reverse and moves the car back slowly. Queen sinks low into her seat. Police officer 1 nods his head as a way to say, "Go ahead." They pull off and drive into a secluded side street. And just like that, they're on the road again. Police officer 1 watches them go. Confident in his decision, he walks back around to the front of the house. Okay.
Yeah. So I guess I probably should have said this a little bit before this started. For those of you guys that don't know anything about Queen and Slim, this is a story about 2 African Americans that end up killing a cop because the cop is trying to take advantage of them, and he pulls a gun on them for basically no reason, and then they end up using self-defense and end up killing the cop and decide to run instead of staying around and waiting for other cops, just because of what happens in certain situations with the cops nowadays.
Yeah. So, can we talk about the script before we move on to watching the scene?
Yeah, for sure. Is there any, do you have any first thoughts about that?
I think, with one, it's like kind of a dire situation of them trying to escape. So I just had to contextually put myself there. I didn't really feel the rush that I'm sure that is present.
Mm-hmm.
Just because I didn't know what was happening before the scene, right?
Yeah.
So there was that, and then also police officer 1. It's just described, or at this moment, it's just police officer 1, right? There's no description of him. In the movie, was he an African American character?
Yes, and that probably adds a lot to the story. Just the brotherhood and him knowing exactly what they have to go through, and I think them having, where was the line? Okay, he looks back at Queen and Slim and sees 2 faces that remind him of his own. So just either looking into his past or knowing what they've been through, that knowing that he was of an African American descent would make a lot more sense.
Yeah. So, is this was he a prominent character throughout, or has he has he been there in the beginning to trying to hunt down Queen and Slim, or is he just a random character that shows up for this particular event?
Yeah, he kind of just shows up randomly for this particular event, and I don't want to get into too much of the script, but it kind of seemed um, like there were a bunch of coincidences, and I guess this is kind of one of them. I can't remember. Do you remember what the term for that was?
Oh, oh gosh. It's like the terms that the one of the terms that like immediately came to my head was like plot armor, but I don't think that's what you're referring to.
It's
It's
something.
it's just convenient for the scene. Is that along the lines of what you're trying
Yeah,
to
something
say?
like that.
Mm.
Anything else that pops out to you before we watch the scene?
Uh, well, like contextually, like I'm missing a lot of things, but I'm kind of like getting little tidbits. Like we're already at page 96, 7, 98. You know,
Hmm.
we're like towards the end the of the movie, right? And she says, or maybe it was said, like on the top of page 97. They lock eyes for a second, realizing there's so much about each other they may never know. So it's like, gosh, like I mean, I guess this is just day 6, as stated on the scene heading,
Hmm.
but it just didn't see it. It seems like they didn't really get a chance to really talk about each other um, while they're on the run. So I'm just like wondering contextually, what's your relationship before we, started at this scene? Like was it just strictly heat of the moment passion, or um, and they didn't really get to talk to each other, or I know the trailer kind of like states that they were just kind of friends, and I guess they were going on like a first date or something, but like
Yeah, I think it was actually Tinder, and I think it was their
oh yeah,
first date. So, I
oh
mean, them not
jeez.
knowing each other, and I think they were going home. Um,
Mm.
so I mean, it's gonna be really fresh. Like they immediately started running after this incident happened, you know.
And they immediately trusted each other, I guess.
I mean, they kind of had to. They were in this situation together, you know.
Well, okay, I mean, we can talk about spoilers. Hey, spoiler warning, okay? But in the movie, who kills the police officer?
Slim does.
Slim does. So, I mean, I'm guessing there's that like that hold on. I'm losing track of what's the word I want to use, but like I guess there's that obligation of like helping someone who is also like an African American in this situation.
Hmm.
There's that sense of obligation, but like she could have easily like said, hey, whoa, that's not cool, I'm going to report this, and she won't get in trouble. She'll be probably uh, innocent until proven guilty, and unless the system isn't really working for them, which I guess that might be the trend in this movie, right? Is that
Yeah,
kind
I
of
think that's kind of what this movie is trying to show is that
no matter
the
what?
system is kind of fucked, you know. So they knew that they were on camera, and the camera to them, Slim at the beginning said, like, we're gonna be fine, like we're on camera, we can prove it to them, but there's still that sense of urgency and them being scared that they just need to get out of here because they're gonna fuck us over, you know.
Wait, so they know that the camera kind of displayed the truth that hey, it was a self-defense situation from a cop who was indeed abusing his power.
Yeah, Slim said something at the beginning that I don't know if they for sure knew that there was a camera, but I think they mentioned it. So I guess they just figured that they'd somehow, some way, like turn it on them. And throughout the script, Queen is a very like demanding, this is what we're doing kind of dominant character, and
So it's
Slim
her
kind of just,
idea.
oh yeah, like this, the majority of everything that they do is Queen's idea.
Is she kind of a little bit more experienced in just how the system works, or?
I don't know about her past. I'd have to watch it again, but I don't know if she's ever been in that kind of trouble or been around that kind of trouble. Think she might just know what have happened to maybe her family or other people around her, or yeah, I don't know
Mm.
about her past.
Like if we had that information of like any sort of like past experience, like her dad did the exact same thing and got incarcerated or got killed or whatever,
Right.
that just to me would be more drive for the
Hmm.
character to make those types of decisions.
Definitely.
It's just kind of weird when they like accidentally kill a cop in order to like defend themselves. And yeah, body cams do exist, and if it was mentioned in the movie, then that is a thing that they could use. But again, if they, what are they going to do? Call another cop in, and that another cop is going to come by and it's like, oh crap, we have an officer down, and we got two African Americans here. What's that cop going to do?
Right. What's their
Unless they,
first thought gonna be?
yeah, unless they like ask for, another African American cop who, by the scene that we just read, seemed to like some sort of like sympathy with people of his own, race. So, and with that being said, like, I wish there was more of that contextually,
Hmm.
for that police officer at the end. Like, if he was like part of the party that is searching for Queen and Slim, um, and he's like, working with other officers who are like, of different race and everything like that. Let's say he's working with majority white cops who are like, you know, um, being abusive or are outwardly racist or subtly racist, and that he himself, as a police officer, a fellow police officer, has to kind of like put up with that or like deal with it or adapt to it. To get that bit of character context to this point of what we read just now, um, that would be pretty cool growth and also a payoff. You know what I mean? Not
Yeah,
just like, oh hey, you're also black, I'm gonna let you go.
so you
He's a cop
actually,
first.
right, you actually hit the hammer on the nail on that. He actually is working with other police officers that are white, or at least one, and he walks away from them, and that's why he actually finds them. But the reason I say he randomly shows up is because I think this is the first time that we meet these police officers, and it's right before this happens, if that makes
Mm,
sense.
right. Yeah. Just because we're missing that that like character development of that cop, I find this very hard to believe. I know African American cops who would gladly shoot or like arrest or detain, you know, anyone,
Right,
not
if
just because they're
and
doing their job. It's
exactly.
a job first, yeah. But for a story to like, um, explore that guilt or that sympathy, that would make more sense to me. But I mean, again, you're telling me that that didn't exist, so I'd give it a negative mark on that.
Mhm.
Um, okay, but that's that. Did you have any anything to talk about?
I mean, there's things, and we can talk after we watch the script. There's just things about how it's written that kind of like irk me, I guess. Let's see.
You mean written specifically?
Yeah, it's like Queen digs through the toolbox again and finds a smaller screwdriver and then gives him that. Like the way that's written, it's like does that feel weird to you? Like finds a smaller screwdriver and then gives him that? Like I feel like that would be written differently. Am I wrong?
um, I guess now this is like kind of talking about like the writer's style, and like we're getting towards the end of the movie, and I think I mentioned this in our podcast talking about the Avengers, where it didn't really contextually give us more, or just didn't give us more in terms of action and behavior and other things that could add to the vibe and energy of that scene specifically. So I can understand if you feel like it's lackluster.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, I found a screwdriver here, and he gives him that. Not like, she searches more and she's panicking. Like her fingers are going through random like metallic objects, but to no avail. Until right there in the very bottom, there's the small screwdriver. She hopes it works. And she's like, she tries to hand it to him. Like I don't know, any
Yeah.
sort of like emotional detail, I guess, is
I
missing.
yeah, I think that's the point that I was trying to make, and it just feels very empty, I guess you could say. And I
Yeah.
feel like you kind of mentioned that after reading this kind of long paragraph on page 98, how you know that it's going to be intense, but it doesn't feel intense when you read it.
Right. Right. Exactly. And we might. Now I'm going to go back to uh, mentioning the Avengers podcast.
For
It's
sure.
the same way, and we're also like towards the end. I can only imagine the writer be like, fuck this, I want to get this done. So I'm just like, and then she finds a screwdriver and gives him that,
Oh, that
like,
I
you
hate
know what I
that
mean?
thought. I hate the thought that they kind of just give up on the script.
I kind of get it. Like you're like 80, well 98 pages in, and you're like, you know,
Yeah.
I know how I'm going to end this. I just want to get there. And I don't know what this script is like, energy wise in the beginning. I have no idea. So like, it'd be fun to like read the whole thing and like feel that progression like from the perspective of the writer and his energy, and be like, or him or her, their energy, and like feel like, oh shit, I think they're kind of like winding down, or it feels like they want to just get over with.
Yeah. I think
But hey, that's just me sympathizing with the writer.
no, no, no. Like, I think there was a script that we read a while back on Before the Scene, Joker, and I think Alyssa was the one that mentioned it, but how the writing kind of, it felt like a poem. It was kind of all written in the same language, kind of. And
Mm,
if that makes sense, like, the narrator didn't speak normally, and then it wasn't crazy. Like, it was kind of all had the same energy. Um,
yeah,
this is kind of written the same way, but not in terms of energy. I feel like that the way that they talk and the way that the narrator talks are kind of similar, but the energy's just not there when the narrator's there.
I like that. I like I like that you brought that up.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, I mean that's just writing style at that point. It's like, hey, any dialogue can be as stylized as you want it to be. Oh, he's speaking in a certain accent. Oh, they're stumbling over words or whatever. But like for the narrator to have a voice as well, man, I think that really adds that cherry on top when it comes to a script, because you want to enjoy the script throughout. And I think that's something that people should like be aware of and try to master,
Hmm.
especially if they're trying to sell a script.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, but
All
that's
right.
just Yeah. Okay. Let's go ahead and watch this scene then.
This podcast is brought to you by Arizona Studios. Arizona Studios, a full-service video content specialist. We're here to illuminate your message and compel your audience to take the right action. For more information, head to our website at arizonastudios.com and be sure to tune in for more content on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube.
Okay. I'm back.
Okay, cool.
Dude, there was definitely more intensity in the performance there than was read in the script. And I feel like, people will be like, oh, no, duh, it's like the performance of the visual, right?
You're right.
But, like, I think that was different when we, like, read scripts like Lighthouse or Knives Out, right? But, like, for this scene, there's that character, like, movement and such.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I just think that should have been added in the script.
The thing that stands out to me is when he's turning the screwdriver and there's just that moment of them just anticipating it. Just, it's going on for a while. They're just waiting for it to turn on, waiting and waiting and just hoping. And in the script, that doesn't show up. And then there's that sigh of relief that happens. And I feel like that's not in the script either. And I feel like that's such like a... Even for the audience, it's such a sigh of relief. And it just doesn't show up on the script.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I guess the script had the difference of her giving him, Slim, the other screwdriver. That isn't in there. It's just the one screwdriver.
I noticed that as well. That
Yeah,
kind of
so
breaks down... That makes it less intense as well. I mean, I feel like the film was still very intense, but if one didn't work, it might make it a little more intense. But I think the scene was done very well.
yeah.
But back to your point of them walking around, I think that would definitely add intensity of them pacing and looking for stuff, and definitely add intensity in the script.
Well, let me go back to the script itself and see. It's just vague. They both start searching.
It's kind of back
then-
to you mentioned Avengers, how they started fighting in concert. There's nothing more there than you imagining them all kind of attacking at once. Like they're both searching. Like there's nothing
Yeah.
dramatic about it.
Yeah, and there's like and then one of the other lines is, then Queen finds an old toolbox. Like in the scene itself, we saw that the visual scene, the actual scene from the movie. She kind of like puts her head down. She's like looking at the space of that workspace, right? And she sees it. I don't know. I guess maybe there's no sense of space when they're searching for keys. Like, okay, so we're into your garage, right? Same time, day 6, right? While Slim searches for a key to the station wagon parked in the garage, like that's all we got really. There's no like they enter the garage and in front of them is the station wagon. To the left of it is a workbench. Slim rushes to the workbench, trying to find something like that. I don't know. We didn't get that. We don't have a sense of space, and I guess that's what's missing. But then I always feel weird when it comes to like writing in that sense of space. I think it's good when you're trying to create like context for the story, but then I feel weird because like that could definitely change when we don't have that location. You know
Of
what I
course,
mean?
yeah.
But I think it should still be written regardless. Like I need to get over my weirdness about it, but yeah. Does that make sense?
No, yeah, it makes a lot of sense. I think that's a good point.
Anything on your end of that? Like
I mean,
That scene made me want to watch the movie. So
no, yeah, I think that's a great scene, and there's another one. There's a lot of emotional scenes, and I think the thing that pulls me away from it is some of the cheesiness, and I've never been one to like the cheesy movies, or and I think the coincidences also kind of pull me away from it and be like, okay, like I'm watching a film, like this doesn't feel realistic. Um, so I don't know. There's a lot of really good emotional scenes that really touch your heart, and then there's other ones that just aren't too good. But it's definitely worth a watch.
uh, I have something else to bring up.
Yeah, let's hear it.
Okay, so we kind of talked about like the police officer one, all right, and that we're like, oh, okay, he's black, right?
Yep.
And okay, he's black, and in my head, um, I imagine an older black man, someone who's been on the force for a while, kind of like has that, just has that kind of like, what you call it, roughness to his appearance.
Hmm.
I'm trying to think of like Idris Elba or like Ving Rhames.
I don't
Or,
know any of these people, but I trust you.
okay, so if our viewers want to look up these actors who I would have casted, um,
Just tougher looking? Is that what you're
yeah,
saying?
well, like a cop that looks like someone who would be a cop. Sorry, I mean a cop who seemed to have been a cop for a long time is what I
Okay.
imagined. So Samuel L. Jackson, right, as a cop, right? I don't know if you've seen Bright, but Will Smith, when he plays a cop, he looks like he's been on the force for a while, right?
Mm.
Super experienced. So that was what was in my head. And then when we watched the scene, um, it was a young dude, and I was like, oh, it's a kind of like a younger guy, and that if this was the first time I saw him, and just the way he behaved and such, I would like, is he kind of green? Is he kind of been on the force for just a little bit?
I would think so, yeah.
And with that being said, like I wonder if it would have been more powerful to see an older, cop or someone who seems rougher and more experienced, seeing those two being so young, like that there's that age difference.
They have so much life left. I think that's a really good
Yeah.
point.
There's that, but then I guess I'm gonna like on the other end of that is okay, we have a young cop, and when he sees young faces, that could be, a moment of realization. It's like, hey, they're just like me,
Right.
like specifically age-wise, not just, race-wise. So I'm like wondering what would seem more powerful.
I think to me, having an older cop and him really being through it and being on the force, but not just being on the force, like having his entire life, living his entire life, and then seeing like how important that life was to him, and then seeing these two young kids that made a mistake, or thought they made a mistake, they have so much life ahead of them, and him connecting to that and seeing that, I think that would have been more powerful, at least more powerful to me.
Mm. Oh man, I'm kind of mixed now that I'm like thinking about it, because I was with you. I'm because I brought it up. I'm was obviously with you and what you just said. But then now I'm thinking about, oh, what does it mean for a young cop to come across them? I think either or could really work. But again, with more context, like I wish there was a conversation the cop had with his fellow cops, and they're playing with, racism and such, like to give me a good sense of why did this cop make that decision.
Hmm.
I just needed maybe that. Maybe it's just
Well,
luck
and
of the
it's
draw too.
yeah, and it's tough just pulling out what we read one scene. It's hard getting context for the rest of the film and knowing what went down, and then reading this one scene and trying to draw context from nothing. So
Yeah, I mean, it's worse when the character is just stated in the script, police officer 1.
Right.
Like, I wish, there was something, I don't know, anything that didn't alienate this police officer as a character. Maybe that's the point, though. Ah, gosh. Like, I think my problem is I can find ways to defend it, but, I'm just kind of all over the place,
No,
I guess.
I get what you're saying.
Anyway,
All right.
yeah.
Well, is there anything else that you have to say about this script?
Kind of want to watch the movie now. The script just felt a bit weak towards the end. I don't know what it's like in the beginning or in the middle. All I know is at the end, it just seemed to just gloss over details and just to move things forward instead of getting me a real sense of urgency and like final resolution. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So I guess that's my thoughts on the script.
Yeah, I think it's worth a watch. I guess for my final thoughts, I just wish it had a little bit more emotion. I think it's still worth a watch either way. Alright guys, so this has been Before the Scene, and we thank you guys for listening. If you guys have any comments or anything, please leave them in the comment section below. If you're on iTunes, head over to our SoundCloud or our YouTube channel. Like and subscribe, and please listen in next time. This has been Graham and Nero Manalo Graham Pritchard and Nero Manalo for Arizona Studios, and you will hear us next time.
All right, later.